What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smithy with another GSD Mode podcast weekly real estate tip. And today I'm here to talk to you about one super easy but highly effective strategy to setting more appointments. So when I say more appointments, we're talking listing appointments, buyer consultations, as well as agent recruit appointments. So one strategy that's going to help you go out there and set more appointments, increase those conversion ratios, and really increase conversion ratios on every aspect of the funnel. When you're talking about, your lead to appointment set ratio, the amount of reach outs and conversations that you have to appointment set ratio, your appointment show ratios. So really this one strategy is going to help you with every aspect of the funnel, but most importantly, it greatly impacts and increases your ability to go out there and set more appointments. And I think that we can all get and understand and agree upon the importance of setting appointments. You set more appointments, you have the ability to set more appointments, you learn this skill set, you master this skill set, you get good at doing this, your business is going to exponentially grow. All right, so with that being said, this is a strategy that I learned about 10 plus years ago. I won't go into the history of how I learned it, but I learned it, from Zappos outside of the industry. It was a big light bulb moment. And it's something that, again, I've implemented over 10 plus years ago. It's worked so well that I've implemented every single one of my businesses. So whether it be my real estate business, whether it be with buyers and sellers, whether it be with agents that I'm recruiting, whether it be in my supplement company, my software company, my coaching company, I've implemented this all of my businesses because of the power of this. Now, real quick, before we jump into this actual strategy, if you haven't already, make sure that you are checking out gsdmode.com. There's a bunch of additional free training resources on there and so forth. Right now, I've got my 3-hour in-depth 100% free online masterclass, which is 6 steps to 3xing or more your real estate business. And that online training is the 6 core fundamentals that I've just discovered over the year that regardless of the marketplace, regardless of what's going on, boom, bust, crash, anything in between, that will allow you to continue to grow scale year after year, regardless of what's going on with the market itself. So make sure to check out that training. Also got my free ebook on there. That's also 100% free. I've got free disc assessment tests on there. If you haven't taken the disc, it's a pretty powerful test. It's highly and widely used in our industry as well as a lot of other industries. It has a lot of great insights on how we operate, what environments we operate on. It can also be great when you're, building teams, if you're recruiting agents, hiring agents, tells you a lot about their strengths, their weaknesses, their communication skills. Really good for admin. So if you're looking for a free disc resource, you can go to gsdmode.com. There's free discs on there. There's a free disc report that you can go do. It takes about 15 minutes to go through that assessment. It's a third-party assessment that I go through, and I pay them a little bit of money that allows me to offer that as a free resource, for you guys inside your business. Also on there, you can get some information about my coaching and mentorship program. So if you're interested in hiring me as your real estate coach, whether you're looking to build as an individual agent, team leader, broker, owner, our coaching clients about a third. It's about a mix, man, about third of each inside the program. So if you're interested in being mentored at a higher level, you can check more about my coaching program, book a 100% zero pressure discovery call with me, and so forth. Okay, enough with that. All right, so we're talking about, again, how to go out there and increase our ability to go out there and set more appointments. How do we increase these overall ratios? Now, before I get into the actual strategy itself, there's 2 really important things to understand, know, and have dialed in, because this will help you overall be more successful with this plus this strategy, and just give some rhyme to the reason of the strategy itself. All right, so number 1, and this is important. This might be something that you already understand, already know, but it's worth noting here just in case. Look, when it comes to setting appointments, obviously we've got to, because it's not just about what's the purpose of setting an appointment. The purpose of setting an appointment is to go out there and conduct that appointment. The purpose of the appointment conduction is to generate a client or an agent recruit, right? So obviously, if we look at that whole pipeline, if we break that down, okay, you've got the lead generation. So you got to generate the lead. Then you got to make sure that you got the follow-up process. Then you got, that follow-up process. So the whole point of generating a lead is so you have leads to follow up with the set appointments, right? So then the whole point of following up is to, again, set that appointment, right? Then the appointment setting is to get that appointment to that person to show up or persons to show up so you can conduct it. The whole sole purpose of the conduction is to then go out there and convert them into a client. So we got to make sure that we've got each of those processes dialed in inside of our business. So making sure, again, obviously you probably got the lead gen strategies. Lead gen is a big thing in this business. We talk about it all the time. Everybody's obsessed with it. But what I've yet to meet anybody in this industry that has a lead generation problem. I mean, a ton that think they have a lead generation problem. but most have a lead conversion problem, or it's a deeper problem as we start peeling back the onions. I'll start asking them of, okay, well, what lead sources are you consistently generating through? Now, if they can answer that, usually, they don't have that. So it's a, front end strategy issue, but then let's just say those that do. Then from there, I'm like, okay, well, what's the first thing that you do when those leads come in? What are you putting those leads? What are you doing? What's your follow-up process? What's your ongoing follow-up process? What are you saying? What are you doing? How often are you doing it? All of that stuff becomes really important. So you got to make sure that you've got a dedicated, dialed in follow-up process, and then once you set that appointment, and then boom, you got to make sure that you got a effective conduction appointment confirmation process to ensure that you get a high conduction rate. Then obviously when you're conducting that appointment, whether it be a buyer consultation, listing presentation, or an agent recruit presentation, got to make sure it's a highly effective presentation that can move them forward so you can go out there and close that deal, right? So, making sure that those are dialed in, because without those, strategy I'm going to share with you today, it definitely will help, but it's not going to fully optimize and maximize your conversion rates without having all of these things dialed in. The thing I'm talking about today enhances all of those things. It isn't replacing your lead follow-up, it's enhancing your lead follow-up and your ability to set these appointments, the ability to get people to show up for those appointments, the ability to go out there and close those appointments. It's an enhancer, right? It's kind of like, doing steroids, right? Like, okay, you're hitting the gym, you're doing the diet, okay, you do a little steroid, whatever, for an athlete, whatever, it gives them that enhancement, right? But if you're taking the steroids, but you're eating like shit, not in the gym, probably not going to do much for you, right? Maybe that's a stupid analogy. I don't really know. Okay, so that's number one. Now, bonus side note, to build off of those is to make sure to track each of those. If you guys really want to go out there and increase your overall conversion ratios, optimize that funnel, if you will. If you think of from that lead coming in till, that person becoming a client, even a closing, right? Like each one of those is part of the funnel where it spits out a commission check at the end of that funnel. To fully optimize your every step of that funnel, you got to make sure that you are tracking each component of the funnel itself. And I know if you've been watching this podcast or listening to this podcast for some time, you always hear me talk about tracking. Look, you guys, the language of money is numbers. If you are not tracking your business, you are destined to go out there and struggle. You're not going to succeed at a high level. You need to be tracking your data. So making sure that, okay, hey, per lead source, I'm tracking the number of leads that I'm getting, number of reach outs, number of conversations, number of appointments set, number of appointment conductions, number of clients, number of closings. That's going to give me an overall picture of what that looks like from, 3% conversion ratio, 10% conversion ratio. But then inside that funnel, right from my, leads to appointment set to appointment conduction ratio, like I need to know what each of those percentages are. So then now I know how to go out there and improve. So when I'm coaching one of my agents, I can sit there and be like, okay, well, what is your appointment set to conduction ratio? Does that need to be maximized or optimized? What's your appointment conduction to client ratio? What's your client to closing ratio? Got to know what those are. What's your appointment set to closing ratio? Anybody on my team, especially like in a leads given division, for those of your team leaders that are providing leads for your agents, I want to see at least a 20% appointment set to conversion ratio, throughout that funnel. But then from there, if that number dips below and that's problematic, well, then I got to be able to go deeper to see where that problem is. So those numbers, help you really kind of do surgery, if you will, on your business to see, okay, what can be enhanced, what can be optimized. So that's a little bit of a bonus tip of increasing, that entire funnel. All right. So now going back, going into I got one more thing I want to cover with you before we actually get into the strategy at hand, but this is the rhyme to the reason as to why this strategy is so effective. And again, I learned this about a decade or so ago, could have been longer than 10 years ago. I can't remember the exact year that I learned this, but it was at least 10 years ago. And I learned it from Zappos. And it was just the true core understanding of human behavior. So, and this is, again, the rhyme to the reason as to why this strategy is so important and so effective. And I'll just give you kind of the Cliff Notes version of this. All right. So just understanding that people hate being sold. Now, this applies, it doesn't matter if this is a buyer, potential seller, an agent that you're recruiting. We're all human beings, right? Typically, human behavior is human behavior, with this. So people hate being sold. However, they want the ability to be able to get and collect the information that they need in order to make an informed decision and feel comfortable moving forward with that decision. And they want that in a comfortable environment without feeling the pressure of being pushed, being pressured, being sold. They want it in a safe place. And dude, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm not trying to, but look, like colleges have safe rooms today. And that's not a safe room from getting physically bullied. It's from emotions, right? Like we're no longer in a society of the whole sticks and stones may break my bones, but words never hurt me. Like, look, people are sensitive, man. They're getting more and more sensitive, so we got to be a little bit more cognizant of this. And this is something that's probably always held true, but at least, at least it's always held true, at least throughout my sales experience in the 20 plus years I've been involved in sales, 18 years plus years I've been involved in real estate, but it seems to be enhancing, right? So anyway, with that, just having that understanding. So let me just recap that because it's so important. I want you to really understand this concept and this have this deep understanding here is that, again, people, so our potential clients or potential agents that want to recruit anybody that we're potentially wanting to do business with, they want to be able to gather and collect all the information that they need in order to make an educated, informed decision. And they want to do that in a comfortable environment without the pressure and the fear of being pushed, pressured, sold, hard sold, any of that. So just think about it. It's like, okay, like you're heading to the mall this weekend, maybe, and you walk into, I don't know, Nordstrom's, Macy's, wherever the hell that you shop. You walk in there and the sales, the person comes up to you that works there and like, hey, can I help you find something? And immediately you sit there and say, oh, no, I'm just looking. Right? Like, okay, at least for me, I just drove 30 minutes to the mall. I'm not there to just look. I'm there to buy some shit. I'm not there. I don't just go to the mall to hang out and freaking look. I'm not 18 years old anymore, right? So, and not that I don't think I ever really did that, but you guys get that point, right? So we're there to go out there and consume. So why would I do that? And it happens subconsciously, right? Like those words come out of our mouth, without us even thinking about it, and it's because, hey, like, let us go out there, do our own research. Let me go out there and find that. I'm going to go out there and scour, see what I like. And then if and when I need you, I will let you know. And then when I need them, then I want them, right? Like, hey, if I need to try this on, need to give it a fitting, whatever it may be, so think about it in just your own life. And just, I tell you guys, one of the greatest teachers out there is just observing through your own consumption and consumer behaviors in your own life. How you like to be treated, what those scenarios are. Like think about buying a car. I'm sure that you're probably doing as much due diligence as you possibly can online, driving by maybe lots at night or on days that the car lot's closed, so you don't have to deal with the car, or you're doing the slow drive by to kind of peek at the vehicles, right? So you can, again, do that due diligence to get that information that you need to gather and need to collect. So then that way you can make an educated, informed decision without the fear and the pressure of being hard sold, hard pushed, pressured, and so forth. So having this understanding, and this is where this, again, this is what clicked for me and this light bulb went off, about 10 plus years ago. And I immediately, once I discovered this and that light bulb moment went off for me, I was like, okay, I'm going to go out there and not just institute this policy, but abide by it at a high level in every aspect of my business, which is a very strict, absolute no pressure policy. Now, just having a very strict, absolute no pressure policy means nothing. You got to make sure that you are abiding by it. You got to make sure that you are articulating it. You got to make sure that you're it's recurring in your messaging over and over and over, because people, like, their words are hollow, right? Like, meaning, okay, lead comes in, I start talking with that lead, whether it's a buyer, seller, agent, doesn't matter, and that where it's a cold relationship. They don't have experience with me. They don't feel comfortable with me yet. They don't know me yet. I can sit there and say, hey, just so you know, we've got a very strict absolute no pressure policy inside of our organization. I'm just here to be a resource, to provide you all the information that you need to go out there and make the best educated decision for yourself and for your family. So you never have to be worried about being pushed or pressured, or hard sold within, while you're working with me or any of your experiences with me. I don't believe in that. We don't operate by that. And again, we've got a very strict policy against that. So, I mean, they might hear that, but it's going to take a multiple different experiences before they start to believe it, because it's going to be not just that conversation. It's how I behave with, multiple kind of, concurring experiences post, that experience. So from call number 1 all the way through, I don't know, call number or conversation number 35, however many it takes to go out there and set that appointment, I'm repeating that script. I'm going over that. And I go as far as letting them know that, hey, like let's just say the lead's brand new in the system. And I'm just letting them know that, hey, I'll go over the policy that I just told you guys, that we have very strict, absolute no pressure policy inside of our organization. So you don't have to be worried about push, pressure, blah, blah, blah. Already went through that. But then I'll let them know, hey, anytime that you see my number come across your caller ID, I never want you to think of this as being a sales call. Just think of this as a customer experience, a check-in call. Look, I'm not here to just be a realtor. I'm here to be a resource and hopefully eventually your friend for life. So this is never, never a sales call, never trying to push pressure you or to try to hard sell you on anything. Just here to check in, see how you're doing, see if there's anything that you need real estate related or not, any way I can be of service, any way I can be of support. Just repeating that terminology over and over and over, but then it's each interaction that you're having every time you're having a conversation with them, repeating that, and then again, eventually, because they've had a lot of experiences with you, you're asking questions, you're educating on the marketplace, you're answering those questions, but then they're like, well, shit, man, this guy isn't being high push, isn't being pushy, isn't being high pressure, isn't being, so forth, right? So then they're like, oh, okay, like I can trust this guy, I can trust this, this guy, this lady, I can trust that person for their word. So then, okay, what is the goal of like, what is the purpose of a lead inside your CRM? Purpose of that lead in your CRM exists to go out there and set an appointment. All right, so I'm going to do everything I possibly can with every conversation that I have to go out there and set an appointment. And there's obviously exceptions to the rule. Okay, let's just say it's somebody that's in a different state. They're 18 months from relocating before a job transfer. Okay, well then every of those conversations, I'm going to have check-in conversations in certain scenarios, certain situations without trying to set an appointment. And I think we can all grasp that, and that makes sense. Right. But with most lead situations, it's I'm trying to take that next progressive step to setting that appointment. But when I'm setting that appointment, right, I'm letting them know that I'm educating them on what's going to take place at the appointment, the purpose of the appointment, and then I'm circling back and making sure that they understand and are reminded of this no pressure policy. Look, hey, the sole purpose of this appointment is to provide you and your family with all the information that you need to make your best educated, informed decision on whether they're looking to buy, sell, whatever, insert whatever, is right for you and is right for you at that time. And as I've mentioned before, but just a reminder, we have a very strict, absolute no pressure policy inside of our organization. So you never have to worry about being pushed, pressured, sold, never have to worry about any of that with us. Again, the sole purpose of this meeting is to provide you with all the information that you need to make the best decision for yourself and for your family. And hey, look, let's just say it's a buyer consult. Hey, look, some families that we meet with, for this meeting, decide that, hey, right now isn't the time for them to buy. And that's okay. If that's again, the sole purpose is to give you the information that you need to make the best decision for yourself and for your family. So if you decide, hey, now's not the time, okay, that's fine. If you decide now is the time, okay, that's great. Maybe you decide that now is the time, but you don't connect with me, you don't like me, and you don't have confidence that I'm the agent for you. That's okay too. Right. So it's just reminding them, again, making that, because if I go repeat what I was saying earlier before we got into the actual strategy, is people want to be able to go out there and educate themselves. They want to be able to go out there and inform themselves, do their due diligence in order to be informed and educated, to make that informed, educated decision, that best decision for them and their family in a safe environment, without having that pressure of being pushed, pressured, and so forth. And us as real estate agents, and team leaders and broker owners. And this is another kind of important thing to understand when it just comes to human behavior. Let's just look at on the consumer side, right? So if you look at what does the consumer think of realtors, it's a negative narrative. Like we are almost at the bottom of the totem pole on the likability index. It's like firefighters at the top, realtors are like at the bottom. Like we're below like car salesmen and attorneys. So people have a negative connotation to how we are, how we operate. They think that we're douchey salespeople, whatever it may be, and they may have had bad experiences in the past. You and I know that, unfortunately, there's a contingent of real estate agents out there that are not professionals, so maybe they've had a bad experience. Maybe they've just, whether you always look at watch movies or shows, whatever it's like, dude, like they always have a negative portrayal of the realtor, right? And have them just like these money hungry, whatever. And that, at least in my experience, that does not portray the realtors that I know, but then also when this, again, guys, this also applies to agent recruiting. And I'll actually go through my agent recruiting appointment setting script for those of you, because I know a lot of you are team leaders and broker owners too. So you can kind of see how I overlay this into that aspect as well. But even on that side, right? Like, okay, look, we're in an industry where we're being recruited all the time. As agents, we're being recruited all the time. It's kind of one of those funky industries where we're always recruiting each other and all different, whatever it may be, and especially once you become team leaders or broker owners, like even my homies in my market that have separate teams or separate broker owners, it's like, man, we're even like recruiting each other's agents sometimes unknowingly. It's just, it's like everybody's out there recruiting everybody. It's just how this industry goes. So a lot of agents don't have a positive, narrative in their mind of broker owners or team leaders when it comes to agent recruiting. So they're sensitive to this too. And it's not that agents are sensitive. It's just, dude, it's just human behavior. None of us like to be hard pressured, pushed, or sold. Maybe you do. Maybe you're one of those freaks out there that do. I know I hate it. And I don't believe in treating others, how I don't want to be treated in a situation. So this also, becomes very impactful when it comes to just your overall lead flow. Not only is it going to allow you to set more appointments because people are going to feel more comfortable with you, but at least for me, it helped enhance that. It helped me, really take my scripts and kind of throw them out the window and just really focus on human connection. Because then I'm like, okay, if my job is to really just inform and educate and be that resource to provide people, with the information, the education, a safe environment, at least where they feel that it's a safe environment, where they're not going to be pressured, pushed, or sold, okay, well, then I really need to listen to them. I really need to understand what their goals are, what their wants are, what their needs are, what their pain points are, what their fears are, what their frustrations are, so it really helped me, not be so scripted, and really be able to just listen, ask great questions, be a great listener, and talk to them as human beings, not treat them as leads, but just kind of treat them as human beings and focus on the human connection, and so it's been a big game changer for me for every aspect of, of this business. All right, so then on the agent side, now if you guys go to, because I want you can kind of see this live in action of, because it's, we want to have it in, our email communication. We want to have it in texting communication. We want to have it in, when we're speaking to them. So through our mouths, through our words, through videos, that kind of communication, but also on your websites. So if you guys go to gsdmode.com, then gsdmode.com, click on my coaching tab at the top. And I'm not saying that you got to check out the coaching, whatever. I'm just using this as an example so you can see how I use this. Right. So if you go there and then you look at the top of that, right, you'll see an example of the verbiage that I use for agents or team leaders or broker owners that are interested in learning more about my coaching program. Well, you can see on there that, what does that verbiage say? It says, to schedule your 100% zero pressure discovery call, and then there's information to click here, and it tells them, they'll be pushed, never be pressured. These calls exist to educate you on the coaching, what's included in the coaching program, and to answer all of the questions that you need to make sure that that this is a fit for you or not. Right. And I hold true to that. You got to make sure on those calls, anybody that jumps on one of those calls with me for that's interested in that, like, I don't want people to be in my coaching program that don't want to be there. Just like I don't want to recruit an agent on my team that doesn't want to be there, but my conversion ratios are stellar, when it comes to that. It's like, I think my last time I checked, and I have to pull up my tracker up, I don't have it in front of me, but it's like, okay, 1.7 call, I'm at like a 1.7 call book to sale ratio, on those calls. Because it's like, okay, during those calls, you no different than a listing presentation, no different than buyer presentation, no different than agent recruit presentation. You've got to, inform, educate. But then if you have a great presentation that you're informing and educating, through that, you are articulating that you are the best guide to get people from where they're at to where it is that they want to go. And they're going to choose with the person that they connect with the best, that they feel is also the most competent guide, the most competent professional to get them from where they're at to where it is that they want to go, whether they're buying a house, selling a house, looking to join your brokerage, or so forth. All right, so if you want to see that kind of live in action, don't book the coaching call. Right. I'm just saying that to go check that out. Unless you are interested in learning more about my coaching program, then book the call. But you can see the verbiage without having to book the call on that. All right. So then for those of you that are recruiting agents, I'll kind of walk through what my script is and what my, little brief strategy there with that, just to give you guys a perspective there. Now, even if you're not recruiting agents, you're still, still going out there and recruiting buyers and sellers, if you will. I look at it as always recruiting, either buyers, sellers, agents, or your leadership team to do those things for you. But just pay attention to this, because this might be helpful, whether it be a buyer, to your buyer and seller business. But again, because I understand, again, people want to be able to gather that information that they need to make their best informed, educated decision. And they want to do it in a safe environment without the fear of being pushed, pressured, and sold. So when somebody jumps on a call, we're on a recruiting call. Look, my script is very simple. Something, along the lines of, and it can change based on, how that call comes in and what their goals are. But overall, this portion of the call is always the same, which is, hey, look, at the end of the day, I'm going to sit there, and every team leader, every brokerage owner that you talk to, they're all going to sit there and tell you that they're the best. They got the best systems, the best training, the best support. They're the best. And I'm going to do the same thing, right? So any leader that you speak to, team leader or brokerage owner, should be telling you that they are the best at all of these different things. Any leader that doesn't say that they're the best, that's somebody you don't walk from. That's somebody that you run from. Every single person that is selling a product should believe in that product. So then from there, if we are all just telling you that we are the best, we got the best of everything, how then is it possible for you to decipher who is best for you if we're all telling you that we're the best at all the same stuff, right? The only way for you to decipher that and understand that and know that is for you to experience us. So what I'd like to do is invite you in. Every single week we do our weekly masterminds at this time, this date. I'd like to invite you in to our weekly agent mastermind. So then that way you can experience us. You can see what we're all about. You can experience the culture. You can get to know how we operate. Gives you and I a chance to meet, gives you a chance to meet other agents. And then after that mastermind, then we can sit down. I'll go through, how we operate, what we offer, what we do, what our splits are, answer any questions that you have, and then you can take it from there. Now, during that mastermind, what I encourage you to do is anybody that you connect with in there, or anybody that you spark up a conversation with, I recommend to pull them out in the hallway and ask why they choose to be here. What their experience is like. Because again, when you talk to me, I'm going to tell you that we're the best. I'm not trying to unintentionally sell you. I just truly believe that we're the best at these things. So being my team, I might be a little bit biased. So I highly recommend that you get some input from others that choose to be a part of this organization to see what their experience is like as well. Now, I got 2 promises for you. Now, this is where just kind of time out. This is where I slide in with this no pressure policy concept. So then I tell them, all right, so I got 2 promises for you. Number 1, that whether you decide to join our team or join our brokerage or not, by attending this mastermind event, you are going to learn a ton. That's going to be massively helpful in helping you grow your real estate business, whether you join us or not. So you got nothing to lose there. It's going to be a win-win either way. Number 2, my promise to you is you will not be recruited. Look, inside our organization, and I'll tell them about the we've got a very strict no pressure policy, but then I'll just let them know, hey, look, I don't want agents inside my organization that don't want to be here. Nobody's handcuffed. Everybody that's here chooses to be here. So I'm not going to try to sell you on the team. I'm not going to try to sell you on the brokerage after this experience, right? And then after we meet and walk through everything that we offer, if you think that this is the best environment for you to help you get to where it is that you're help you accomplish your goals, and you want to move forward, then okay, well, you can choose to move forward, and we can move forward from there. But I'm not going to beg you. I'm not going to push you. Again, we've got very strict absolute no pressure policies, so never be pushed, pressured, sold. Right? So I'm just again, that's creating that safe environment, creating that safe space. Well, then from there, the other component, I know I've kind of talked about this already, is you've got to have a great presentation process. All right, so that's setting the appointments. Then from there, okay, again, have that confirmation process. Now, creating that safe space and letting them know exactly what the purpose is of what's going to take place at the meeting, because you got to sell the value of the meeting. Here's what's going to take place at the meeting. Here's why it's important. Here's what's going to happen. Here's what we're going to discuss. Right now, it's also a safe environment. So, the whole concept, everything we're talking about here today, and then we're going to have that confirmation process. One bonus side note that I didn't have on my notes here to add in here, any appointment that you can book within 48 hours will greatly increase your show rates. So anytime I'm booking an appointment, at least with buyers or sellers. And this holds true with agents too, but more so with buyers and sellers, is okay, anytime I can set that within 48 hours. So I try to set within 24 to 48 hours max. If it gets on 72 hours or beyond, that appointment show ratio starts to wane, or the reschedule, cancel ratio starts to increase. So then from there, got to have a confirmation process, so we're letting them know what that confirmation just that we're confirming, not just that we, the second when we confirm the second that we book the appointment, then from there, we're going to have a multi-step confirmation process to get them to show, through there. Then at the presentation itself, and this I'm just going to do, just kind of a quick point here on this. This will be for another GSD mode podcast for another time. But look, an effective presentation, any effective presentations that you should do should inform and educate on the process, right? So, because remember, they want to be informed and educated so they can make their best informed decision, right? So I want to inform and educate them on the overall process So they have full clarity on the process. They can make that full informed decision, whether it's a yes, whether it's a no. Of course I want them to say yes, but at a high level, it's like, I just want them to make a decision, right? Like at the highest level, like I want them to have all the information they need to make a decision, boom, right then and there. But then part of that informed education, if you're presenting right, is also then articulating through that process that you are the true professional, that you are the best guide to get them from where they're at to where they want to go. Whether that's home ownership, whether it's an agent from where the current production is to where the goal is to go to. So that's that's the key component that a lot of people are missing when it comes to their presentations, buyer consultations, listing presentations, agent recruit presentations, is they might be informing on the process, but they're not informing and educating on how also they're the best guide for to get that consumer from where they're at to where it is that they want to go. So then from there, it's like, okay, I can honor that policy without being high pressured, without having to do some hard sell at the end, without even really having to ask for the close at the end, or at least, without having, I mean, you can always initiate, I recommend to always initiate the next step of the process, but that's just a question of the next steps. Right. It isn't, me having to go and hard push, hard sell, and so forth, with this. So then that way I'm able to honor the no pressure policy, but with a great, powerful presentation, boom, it knocks all three, kills three birds with one stone. All right. So with that being said, anyway, I know I've covered a lot here, with that, but I highly recommend that you guys at least highly consider implementing a no pressure policy inside your organization. Hopefully it makes sense. Hopefully I did a good job at explaining the rhyme to the reason and how to execute on all of this here in this podcast here with you today. And just a last ending reminder, again, check out gsdmode.com. Lots of free resources, training on there. Truly appreciate you guys. Appreciate all your support. Hopefully this is helpful. Keep crushing it, keep kicking ass, and I will see you next time. Peace.